Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and Eye Care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye Care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an Eye Care monitor and Eye Care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye Care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to day 8, I want to say, of AMX Season 2. My name is Reed. I'm here once again with Marco, and we are going to be taking you through another wonderful day of AMX action. Of course, today we are we're heading out to the Sonoma Raceway to race some GT3s, and then, of course, over to what has been called moments ago by our producing assistant, the best track in the world, the Nurburgring Grand Prix, to race some BMW M Hybrid V8s. So, Marco, what do you think of the races coming up today?
Well, exciting stuff because we have the most popular cars in racing, numbers-wise. The GT3 cars are running around one of the most beautiful, flowing, underrated racetracks in the world, in Sonoma. And then we'll move all the way to Europe, of course, for the newest road car in racing, certainly of higher spec, the BMW LMDH car in one of the most modern racetracks, the Nurburgring Grand Prix racetrack. So, two very, very lovely car and track combination, and a very modern ones at that, with cars that are racing actively right now in some of the best championships in the real world, like the IMSA WeatherTech Championship.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of great racing coming up today. So if you're watching right now, get some other people to watch right now. Tell your friends, share it on social media. And if you too would like to join, you can join at any time during our qualifiers. You can head over to amxrace.com and check it out. This is a free tier race, which means it is free to enter. And with our normal setup, we are heading out onto the Sonoma Raceway. This is the cup configuration, so basically as long as possible. And this is our first race for today, racing GT3s. Here's a look at our overview of this season. It's a lot to break down, but let me walk you through it. Okay, $1,600 or $16,000 rather on the line, and a total of 90 races. So plenty of opportunities for you guys to come out here and enter one of 3 race tiers. Free tiers are $0 to enter, and there's a total of $30 in the prize pool. Paid tier 1 is $5 to enter. There's $134 on the line, and then $506 if you put up 20 for our paid tier 2. 80 minutes of practice, 10 minutes of qualifiers in a route, 20 minutes of racing coming your way today and every day for every single one of our races. And here's a look at the schedule. So today, 4:20 at 5:20 a.m. if you are in the Eastern United States, or wherever you are. I want to welcome you to our final day of races for our second week of Beta Season 2. Of course, one more week left to go with 2 races 4 times a week. And that is going to do it for our schedule. If you guys want to check out our schedule at any time, you can head on over to amxrace.com, click the big leaderboards button, schedule button, and it's right there if you would like to sign up at any time. head on over. And that takes us to a breakdown of the points. For today's points, it's a free race, and so that means first place will earn 8 points with a possible additional 3 for fastest lap. So if you are the fastest lap and you win the race, that's 8 plus 3 is 11 points total. And of course, 1 point is $1, so keep that in mind. A lot of money on the line here, especially in our free races, so feel free to sign up at any moment, get in here and get your part of a over $16,000 prize. That is going to take us on to, I believe, looking at the racetrack. And there it is. This is Sonoma Raceway, a cup configuration of the good old US of A. And of course, nestled. I like that. Like the candy bar. That's what it means. Snugly positioned between. The Sonoma Mountains, of course, it has a drag strip. Unfortunately, we're not using the drag strip today. But our cars are still going to be going pretty darn fast. What do you think of the Sonoma Raceway, Marco?
You know, especially this configuration is quite interesting. The Cup cars in NASCAR have been using this kind of configuration in the past couple of years. The longer one, I love the beautiful sweeping turn 6 that basically extends the racetrack by quite a bit. Basically, we're going as long as possible, except for turn number 7, because we're going to cut a little bit shorter, I think into 7B, whilst the longer version goes into 7A, so 7A, so we have like a small, like double tight right-hander there, but then you go to 8A, and then the beautiful flowing section, and of course the proper big passing spot for tonight. And as you can see, beautiful GT3 cars on your screen right now. We have so many on iRacing, one of the if not the biggest class in iRacing, with makes such as Mercedes, BMW, Ferrari, Porsche, and I'm surely forgetting some of them as we go. Let's see, with the beautiful AMG GT3 2020 version of the car, and of course plenty of cars to choose from for these drivers, and of course the balance of performance enacted in real life by the official series, and of course in iRacing as well, to guarantee parity between what are some quite different vehicles from one another. Everybody picks their favorite, and I'm sure that we'll see a lot of variety on the racetrack tonight as well. Audi, of course, how could I forget Audi? And Lamborghini Italian brand. Oh, I'm ashamed of myself.
No. I was going to say, deported instantly. You're seeing on your screen right now the Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo and 4. For what it's worth, this is the car that has set the fastest lap time for GT3s on Sonoma, so probably going to see them well represented today. It's going to be an exciting race. Not only are GT3s pretty much the pinnacle of iRacing performance, it's going to be an exciting racetrack as well. Sonoma, of course, featuring some iconic turns, a lot of negative camber turns also, where it's going to put you on the inside, but it's higher up than the outside.
Of the Italian NASCAR Championship on Monday nights, I have the pleasure to commentate on. Playoff qualifier is in the hunt for the title, and of course racing for Juncos Esports, the esports side of Juncos Racing, a team that has had a hand in recently in IndyCar, and of course also in series such as the WC and IMSA, especially with their LMP2 program. Caio Gaspar here with his beautiful Audi. So GT3 cars have received a substantial update over the past couple of iRacing builds. 2 builds ago, the tires have been changed completely to be much of a shorter lifespan, so you really need to manage them over the course of one stint. And of course the big update, the much needed update in the build that just got released a couple of weeks back. Finally, brakes update, ABS update. These cars were sorely lacking with a properly functioning ABS system in iRacing that was realistic, and finally we have this. And of course, talking with the drivers, top level drivers in the iRacing world about this, they are quite happy about the change, because now you can really use the ABS to its maximum extent and not worry to do these micro lockups with the tires, which would happen before, that would like destroy your tire, and especially increase the temperature so much on the front tires. And we know, I go about this at length every time we have a broadcast, iRacing tire model doesn't like too much heat, and you will be driving on ice for like 2 laps. And the beautiful BMW, interesting story about this car, of course, it has been released in iRacing 1 year before it was officially released in real life. BMW used iRacing as basically a beta test, so to speak, of the real life car, and so we got it 1 year before it was an actual car, and now it is a real car, of course, in the various leagues that are used around the world, and it's a beautiful car, let me tell you. Lovely, 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 this new BMW Challenger for GT3.
Okay, thanks for breaking down the car for us. Now, let me tell you about the heavens. Okay, the heavens. What could they possibly have to do with that? 5 out of our 5 flags representing our players have celestial bodies in them, with the exception of the French flag. Now, of course, I do believe that many of these flags are perhaps alternative flags, because I don't think that Youngchan Kim is from North Macedonia. Alternatively, that could be the flag of Kyrgyzstan.
No, that is the generic flag for the Club Asia on iRacing, which got me confused so many times in the past. I said, I'm quite proud of my flag knowledge, and like I was like, I remember a few months back, what is that flag? You need to be careful, of course. You don't want to say something, bad or
Right.
And then I realized, it's the Club Asia flag.
Right. Of course, Diego Villarreal rocking the flag of Uruguay. We also have Australia down under flag representation, Argentina and Brazil rounding out our celestial body flags out there for us today. And of course, a whole host of racing teams. Corentin Ganez, got to get that guy on a team. He is way too good to just be a privateer out here, taking quite a bit of our money, and we're happy to give it to him for his amazing racing performances. And speaking of amazing racing performances, you're going to have to start dialing that in as we enter the qualifiers for today's first race of the day. We're going to see what kind of times our racers can put up. I mentioned earlier, Marco, the fastest time set by Daniel Murad 2023 earlier this year was 1:37 on this configuration of the track. So we'll see if any of our digital drivers can set something that ambitious as well on board now with Jack Purwin. That's his evil alter ego. Josh Purwin, however, the amazing racer that just took home 2 first place finishes a couple days ago, and now is back at it again after a second place finish yesterday.
Yes, Daniel Morad, of course, you are right in mentioning him, especially because he has been instrumental in bringing the Porsche GT3 car to iRacing. That we don't have it on the track today, but in fact, when you purchase the car on iRacing, you can select his real-life livery in the iRacing paint booth without using any third-party software. He's been quite instrumental in getting the car scanned, and he's an avid iRacing. I think his team is called Moradness, if I'm not mistaken. So it's lovely to see the blending between real life and virtual racing and these real life drivers that are actually participating. Of course, we know in iRacing one of the key figures since day one has been Dale Earnhardt Jr., and many of the cars, especially on the oval side, that is the street stock, for example, the Cars Late Model Tour car, have been scanned from his own personal collection. So I love to see this. And Caio Vinicius Gaspar, of course, with his beautiful Audi. Now, we don't have the Lamborghini on the track tonight, but basically we have it because the Audi and the Lamborghini are the exact same car. What changes is the shell outside. So, I'll take that as having a bit of a Lamborghini around. But I'm partial to the Mercedes. This car is beautiful. It's got a lovely rumbling engine sound, growling engine sound. In real life, I can tell you it's quite something. This low note, very unusual to have. absolutely fantastic. First times on the board, Gaspar, Perwin 1 and 2, and now Corentin Guinez slightly faster than Gaspar. It's worth provisional pole.
Yes, some impressive times, even faster than I believe. Reality, 1:29 is the time to beat. So we'll see what our drivers can put up during qualifiers, or perhaps even during the actual race. About halfway through qualifiers, rounding minute number 4. This is group qualifiers, so they will have an opportunity to finish their qualifiers if they can make it around the finish line before time runs out. Back on board with Corentin Guinez, and I love this passenger seat view where you really get a chance to see exactly what it looks like from the driver's perspective, exactly where he's turning his wheel, and that can give you guys a little bit of additional perspective, because obviously it's easy to watch iRacing, but quite a bit different when you step into the cockpit and try to replicate that yourself. So be taking notes and just kind of learning his fastest path through Sonoma Raceway. Absolutely one of the top, if not the top, contender out here today.
You know, what I love about sim racing, Reed, is that a lot of times, especially when you are like not very, as Gaspar gets provisional pole, you get like you watch something new and then you say, you know, that seems easy, you know. So anybody could do that when you watch like I don't know. I'm partial. I love darts. I'm a former darts player. As Guinness gets a provisional pole there. And you know, unless you have the chance to try, you never have. But in sim racing, you can, if you have an iRacing subscription, after you watch this race, jump into same conditions, same car, same track as, let's say, Corentin Guinez or Caio Gaspar, and try it out for yourself, and then you go, no, it's not that easy as these guys make it look easy, but it's anything but, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. As somebody who has shockingly little racing experience, the more I learn, the more I try this out, the more respect I have for exactly how difficult it can be. The road is fighting you, the car is fighting you, your other racers are fighting you, and it's just really a struggle. Put out all the fires everywhere, metaphorically speaking, sometimes literally speaking, depending on how what your safety rating is. It can be quite challenging to say the least. It's, yeah, I'm not going to go into detail on that. I'm just saying I might need some extra help in that regard, which is why it's so great to watch so many good drivers put up so many amazing performances to see if I can learn a little bit from these guys.
See, Kim Yong-chan is going through the final sector of this beautiful lap around Sonoma, as is Caio Gaspar. He comes around the start-finish line. It's been a nice battle with him and Guinez, trading provisional pole lap after lap. This is an out lap, and this is the proper lap for the Brazilian driver, so no improvement there. And let's see, Rondoletto 1:30.0, he sets up into 5th place, and as per usual, Diego Villarreal is you know, minding his own business in the pit lane, as he always does during the qualifying sessions. Oh, and a mistake from Gaspar, and that's his qualifying lap there. Let's see, usually drivers, when they make this mistake, like, they like to reset to the pits and try again. I think he should be good to go. You usually want to reset to the pits and start again, because your tires will not like this spin. And I think if he comes back to the pits and starts again, he has time for one more, but he's electing to continue, so he surely knows something that I don't. Look, I love here when they go on the drag strip for a bit. It's quite interesting. Very respectfully letting everybody by that's on a fast lap behind him is the Brazilian driver, and he will have to go again. But Corentin Guinez, 29.1, is holding strong on that pole, but you can see the gap between himself and Gaspar is so small, and I think Gaspar was really trying to push hard for that extra tenth of a second to be able to get above the French driver.
Yeah, absolutely. My thought is that this is an exact mirror of what we can expect from the actual race once it starts. Guinez, Gaspar, they've dueled, they've battled one-on-one, and it's going to be exciting to see what that looks like. Of course, our driver to watch for this race out on Sonoma is Yongchan Kim. It is his first race here with us in AMX Season 2, so of course welcoming him. Our main offices are in South Korea, and so it's always cool to see more representation out there as the Asian circuit's still developing. Obviously, a few big circuits in China and some other Southeast Asian country, but still cool to see them developing. But I'm excited to see how he does. Of course, obviously, he was up in second for a brief moment, then third, now fourth. Josh Perwin, the Australian, coming in a little bit underneath that. And of course, like Marco mentioned earlier, no time from Villarreal. It's always a mystery, what Diego's going to put up for every time we see him. Sometimes he does great and then has an unfortunate accident, and other times he is just a solid racer, very middle of the pack. But maybe today's his days, you never know. And it's going to be good to see how he stacks up against some new talent here in Yongchan Kim, and of course our experienced champions like Corentin Guinez and Caio Gaspar.
So Guinness has called it a day on his qualifying. He's back into the pit, so basically he can't improve anymore. Let's see if Gaspar can. I think Gaspar won't have time to do one more lap because there is only 5 seconds left and he's still having to take this final left-hander. It's flat out, so it's now or never for the Brazilian driver. Here he comes, start-finish line. And he does not improve, so Gaspar will have to settle for second place. We're just waiting on Octavio Rondoletto, that I think is still trudging around somewhere on the racetrack. There he is. He's in the track extension at turn 6, of course. We can see him from our view from above, but I don't think he's on a particularly fast lap. And so checkered flag is waving. We are just waiting for Octavio to come back to the pits, and then it will be time to go for the first of our 2 races tonight, of course, as I was saying. We were saying earlier, we are having after this the new BMW LMDH cars running around, their home track in the Nurburgring GP track.
Yeah, Nurburgring is going to be super exciting to watch. I'm really pumped for that coming up. But for now, we just get a chance to see a wide view of mainly the drag strip there in the middle. Not being for today, of course, but of course, the scenic overlook of beautiful fields of Sonoma. Of course, Indy racing, very popular here, as well as NASCAR headlining most of their races. But for today, it's all GT3s, and it's going to be exciting to see what our 6 drivers can squeeze out of this track, pushing it, of course, to its limits, and us to ours at the edge of our seats. We'll see if that's an accurate description of this race or if it's just time trials for everybody. Also, the anticipation of me, what I'm looking forward to is seeing Yongchan Kim, seeing if he can stack up against some of the more experienced racers here. And of course, a lot of hype behind Josh Perwin, of course, very accomplished in his own sim racing career, but at least here in AMX. He's also setting quite a bit of stir with a couple of first place finishes a few days ago and a second place finish yesterday. Definitely a driver we see kind of rising in the ranks out here. So, a lot to talk about.
Yes, sir, and as the session switches over, you can see the parking lot populating with the vans and the trucks and the cars of the fans, because of course iRacing also has this dynamic attendance. The more you go in through the weekend, the more crowd gets on the grandstands. Corentin Guinez all by an eyelash over Caio Gaspar and Octavio Rondoletto and Kim Yong-chan in 4th. Josh Perwin is in 5th and Diego Villarreal without a time in 6th place, and I assume we'll have a full pace lap, so we'll have a long time to discuss about this racetrack. And of course, Sonoma is one of those racetracks that in the collective thinking is like this almost desert-like landscape, but many people don't know that during spring it's beautiful and green. In fact, the premier GT3 racing series in the world for North America, and that is the World Challenge North America, races here in late February, early March, and the track is beautiful and green all around. There is like also one of the proposals on the suggestions that people are making, because next year, of course, NASCAR won't be able to race at Auto Club because they are doing major renovation works there, and many people are saying let's anticipate Sonoma in the West Coast wing to begin the season and do it like in late February, early March, so we can race in green Sonoma. And as many people, of course, know, this more so than Monterey in Laguna Seca when we were there last week. This is where really the big wine production for Northern California is. And again, I want to try one of their wines very, very soon.
Yes, we try to keep Marco's inner Italian suppressed during the broadcast because it's nice to talk about race cars instead of just pizza and wine. But every once in a while, it comes out a little bit. So, stereotypes aside, it is always fun to watch GT3s out here, and as the pace lap gets wide underway, I don't know what to expect here. I think for Diego Villarreal, it's always a safe bet, but really looking forward to seeing how Josh Berwin does after his couple of wins the other day. He's really, really speeding up. And of course, some very attractive liveries today. As always, our drivers' artistic skills to the max, with the exception of our final racers that I believe are just using defaults.
Yeah, lovely liveries as per usual. See the, I quite like that Audi in penultimate place there, looking like very artsy, and I should say. But yeah, I think Josh Berwin is racing with a very basic, paint scheme, but less paint, less stickers should make the car go faster in theory. I don't know. I try to do it myself. But, yeah, it doesn't help me. Might help him. Both ways work,
right? Like if you do no paint, then it's going to go faster. But also, if you use crazy neon paints, that's one way to get it to go faster. Or if you draw flames on the outside, it's good enough for cars. It's good enough for me. Across the raceway, and we are off to the races for our first of 12 laps over the longest configuration of the Sonoma Raceway with Diaz. Oh my God, a spin out already. Rondoleto's way out, gardening in the desert. Out of the race for now. He is not going to be happy with that occurrence. And of course, as we head through the reverse, through the off-camber turns, it can be even more challenging. Now Rondoleto sadly 12 seconds off of his opponent. Of course, middle of the pack is still very competitive with Kim and Josh Berwin right up against each other, neck and neck. A very, very challenging start to the race. Not the way that Rondoleto wanted to start it.
No, we'll catch the replay very, very soon, but if I'm not mistaken, there we go, thanks to our fantastic production team. You see there, Gaspar had a moment coming up, that's such a difficult corner to make, especially with cold tires. He lost the car, and then he touched the right rear of Rondoleto's car, and that was all she wrote for the Argentinian driver. And of course, very, very unlucky in a quick race like this. 12 laps around here is not a long time for Octavio. He really has to push super hard in order to be able at least to get to Villarreal, and even that is not going to be easy for him. Quite unlucky. Corentin Guinness, of course, is laughing all the way to the bank, because of course his two main rivals have made contact, and Gaspar had to lose a lot of time because he had to, of course, stamp on the brakes and try to save his car. So already 1.8 seconds between first and second place. The real fight is between Berwin and Kim, fighting for third place. This car, this beautiful livery of his side. Of course, the guy with the default paint scheme was Octavio Rondoleto. I'm sorry about that. And right. In this case, we got our answer immediately. At least it was not the lucky paint for him.
Yeah, good point. I'll write that down in the column of my iRacing conspiracy theories about what does and doesn't affect the performance of my car. Because of course, it couldn't be my lack of skill. It's obviously got to be some gremlins under the hood. So keep an eye on that. On board with Kim as he chases Josh Pruitt around the track. A very, very close battle, closest on track so far. With just under a second between them, we are into our second lap, and so our racers are starting to get a feel for the track. They didn't have enough time in practice and qualifiers. Maybe a little bit of own hit there. Looked a little close there for Kim as he flows down around that hairpin and regains that top speed through one of the very short straightaways here. This is not a drag racing track if you don't count the actual drag racing track. It is somewhat difficult to hit those really, really high top speeds. But of course, that is what is so fun to watch about these GT3s. Their acceleration is monstrous. So even without the straightaways, you're still going to be seeing some very high top speeds.
You can see Corentin Guinness bringing home $258 overall, and he's of course the king of the Tier 1 races with $72. So far he's in third place, of course, in the overall standings. He's enjoying, when we watch one of these races, when you commentate on them, it's safe to say that Corentin will be at the pointy end of the field one way or another, and is showing that he means business today as well. But this fight for third, the beautiful BMW M4 of Kim chasing the Audi R8. This has been for so many years the big fight in GT3 in real life as well. BMW versus Audi versus Ferrari, no Ferraris, no, of course, versus Mercedes. These are the teams that usually battle it out. As I was saying many times, going to the 24 Hours of Spa in 2016, which was won by BMW, by Rao Racing BMW, with this livery that Kim is using right now. Well, a different car, of course, different times back then, because now Rao Racing, of course, has moved to being the official racing team of Porsche in GT3, but the sheer amount of cars and liveries was absolutely amazing. This year, I think 70 entries in the real life 24 Hours of Spa, and if you have an iRacing subscription, you can do the 24 Hours of Spa yourself, of course, in 1 week before the actual race. Of course, you need a lot of coffee and teammates to do that.
Coffee and teammates, also something I need to broadcast this show. So some overlap there in our skill sets and social needs there. Josh Pruitt, not in pole, but of course on the podium at third, is really having to keep an eye in his rearview mirror to keep him off his tail. Youngchan Kim is really making this a battle, even at the middle phase of the race. The real battle here is for that final spot on the podium here, with Josh getting a little bit of a scare there as Kim continues to kind of attack him under half a second behind, and Josh really having to, keep his eye on his rear view. Like I said, now coming around that big bad hairpin. There it is. Youngchan Kim now closing the gap and looking for any opportunity to take his spot on the podium as they finish lap number 4, starting 5.
Josh Purvin, Reed has closed down on Gaspar. I suspect, the qualifying laps are indicative, but sometimes they don't tell the whole story. But I think that maybe Gaspar is sporting some small damage from the contact he had with Rondoletto, who's gone past VRL, because I think VRL has made a mistake somewhere. But I was adamant that we would have seen a back and forth fight between Guinness and Gaspar for the race victory tonight. This is not happening, and as a matter of fact, Gaspar is slowly drifting back towards the chasing duo of Kim and Purwin. So we might have actually a big 3-car fight for the 2 remaining podium spots. I see Kim is taking these. They seem like, on paper, like weird lines, especially here and especially the final hairpin. He goes much wider than his position. In the beginning, I was thinking they were like, he was getting too deep on the brakes. But I think in reality he's just using different interpretation of the racing line, because he's being able to stay super close to his Australian rival. Let's see if this time he does the same.
Oh, this time he sticks close. Oh, by the way, those tire bundles there, they're not tire bundles, they are concrete bundles, so stay away from those.
But what if I need to slow down a little bit and I need a gentle help from a tire to stop my car?
No, the car won't like it. We have rallycross configuration here in Sonoma, and for rallycross, iRacing has movable tire bundles. So when they put those in, I'd assume that they'd make every tire bundle a movable tire bundle. I was wrong. I hit one of those tire bundles there at Sonoma once, and basically my car got split in half. So also they are quite easy to get perched upon. Like if you hit them at the right angle, you could end up with the back end of your car sitting on top of it, or the front end of your car sitting on top of it, and the car won't go anywhere. Oh, a mistake from Perwin here. Kim has an opening.
Yeah, he absolutely does, and he's going to take it. The overtake on the right, but having to slow down for the curve. Off the outside, coming back in, and we'll see if he goes for the overtake right now. Absolutely reaching those top speeds and looking for any opportunity. One mistake by Josh Perwin pulls Kim to within 0.2 of a second. Now dropping back as Josh hits the pedal to the metal, but man, that was a really scary moment, and still might cost Josh Perwin this third place spot.
Yeah, Josh got out of shape coming out of turn 6, heading into the drag strip there. His car was sliding sideways, so he had to basically rely on traction control to get the car positioned straight, but that of course cost you a lot of time. He lost 1 second to Gaspar, more or less, in the last couple of laps. He's struggling a bit, and Kim, of course, has been relentlessly pressuring him from behind for now 3 or 4 laps, and this battle will absolutely go down to the wire. Kim is looking very aggressive there, and he could have gone for the dive there, but he was very respectful. There is still a bit left. We have half of the race still to do here in Sonoma, so made sense for him not to rush, but Perwin needs to be very, very careful. Here is where he made the mistake. Much better this time around, of course.
Yeah, nice to see that that's not a repeat, but we still have 3 more laps to go. Of course, anything can happen. Man, look at how aggressive Yongchan Kim is playing this. And of course, Josh Perwin has his eyes on the prize as well. On the heels of Caio Gaspar closing that distance 1 lap at a time, down to 0.6 of a second as he closes in on that second place spot. Not content to just sit there in third, so we could absolutely see this heat up even more as we head into our final couple of laps. Not going to see a lot of Ginez. He is far and away in the lead, and probably will be able to maintain that position. You'll get to catch a little glimpse of him in the future, way up ahead of the rest of the pack. And oh no, tragedy strikes Yongchan Kim straight into the barrier. An absolutely heartbreaking moment. He will need to head all the way back to get that terrible, terrible damage repaired. Hope we get a chance to check that out in the replay, because man, that was so unexpected.
There's something wrong, I think, with Gaspar car, because when Perwin made his mistake a couple of laps back, the gap was like 1.2 seconds, and 2 laps later, the gap is now 0.3 of a second. So, despite the mistake, despite Perwin overheating his tires, has closed the gap back immediately with Gaspar. And so, I think, he might now, he has no pressure from the back. We'll catch the replay in a bit, but first, of course, the production rightfully wants to focus on this fantastic battle, because I think Reed, Perwin, now he doesn't have pressure from the back. He might go for a move sooner rather than later, because Gaspar is really, really struggling. I'm thinking he's causing some damage there.
He absolutely has to be. Now going for the pass on the inside. It looks to be good enough. A little bit of a shove there, but Josh Perwin dominantly with the overtake into second place. Half a second. What an overtake there. Josh Perwin taking second.
Beautiful, beautiful beautiful overtake with a little bit of a shoulder barge there. We have a lot to unpack, so let's go at the beginning of the previous lap with the incident, and you can see the aftermath of the damage. He lost the car basically the same way that, of course, Gaspar lost the car in the beginning of the race, going up the hill in turn 1 and 2, and that cost him quite a lot. He didn't have anyone to bounce on like Gaspar did with Rondoletto. He sadly bounced head-on with the concrete barrier there. That style of concrete barrier, by the way, in Italy, for some reason we call it New Jersey barrier. I have no idea why. But the BMW has got engine in the front, he hit there at the front, so that's big damage. And of course then, as I was predicting, likely, because I'm not very good at this, but I thought, maybe now Purwin has the no pressure from behind, and Gaspar is struggling, and as soon as he had the chance, he went in at the final hairpin shoulder barge, and now he's trying to pull away from Gaspar.
He is trying to pull away, but I don't know if Gaspar is really going to let him. I think there's a lot of tension there, but after kind of a rough turn, Gaspar takes another half second back, now down by 1.3. That was a really rough corner for Gaspar.
And there we go with the replay. Once again, dive on the inside. They make contact, and that was, a very aggressive overtake by Purwin, and a very strong defense by the Brazilian driver Gaspar, who then, as you were correctly saying, read the next lap, the one we just watched, entered very close at the hairpin, very close to Josh Purwin, but had a slide mid-corner, right on the apex. That car is not right, and now the gap is 1.8 seconds, so unless Purwin makes a mistake, second place should be his. Of course, Corentin Guinez is really enjoying his it's not I mean, it's very early, for example, in Uruguay right now, where Villarreal is like 6:50 in the morning. Corentin Guinez, same time zone as me, is noon almost, so I'm not saying he's eating his lunch already, but he's surely, getting it ready, because with 10-second lead, he can, I think, relax for this final 2 laps that will start in a bit.
You see him cracking the eggs on the hood of the car, cooking them on the engine. That's how you know he is somewhat confident here. And of course, obviously, he does have a confidence. Both drivers having had some real difficulties this race. But the closest by far is that gap between Purwin and Gaspar. And after keeping it so close for so long, it appears as if Josh Purwin has really solidified. There we go. The second place podium finish here over Gaspar. I thought it was really going to be Yongchan Kim, our newcomer, but after a tragic barrier bump there at lap 8, I want to say. I forget exactly what had happened, but it was a very, very setting occasion, sets him back to fourth for sure. We might see Gaspar forward 10 seconds into the future and overtake Josh, but it is a very, very strong lead for Purwin, and of course no lead stronger than Corentin Guinez way out there in first.
Yeah, there's Diego Villarreal, and there is Corentin Guinez, of course, the leader of this race. He's about to get the white flag. He will get it right about now, as he goes through the hairpin for one final time. Sorry, the penultimate time. Now he gets the white flag. And here we go, final lap that begins right now. A mistake from Purwin, and now Gaspar all of a sudden it's half a second into the gap. He's still struggling. Look at how unbalanced this car is coming out of the slower corners especially. So Purwin will have to manage 1 second as they cross the stripe for the penultimate lap.
Yeah, this is the final moment there, and I guess Gaspar is going to use all the gas he's got left in his tank, going in for it on Purwin, but I don't think there's enough track left for this overtake to happen. Gaspar really just letting it all hang out on the final lap here with the white flag out, and going to show not only the GT3 but also potential that he has as a driver here on Our final moments on Sonoma Raceway Cup configuration. It is so good to see not only such an iconic track, but a little underappreciated. So glad we can give it some extra screen time as we do get a chance to see cars that get all too much screen time. But of course, always a pleasure to watch these GT3s. And of course, such amazing drivers. Josh Berwin, really outstanding overtake. By far the highlight of the race for me, although we're not really highlighting what is exceptional driving from Corentin Guinez, who will claim first in dominant fashion, a full 12-second lead. He's just built different. You know, we say there's a balance of power on the cars. He flashes his headlights in acknowledgement, but certainly no balance of power on that guy. Corentin Guinez with the checkered flag.
Fantastic stuff from the Frenchman as per usual. Josh Berwin will hold on over Gaspar, so that will be your podium. Kim will finish his drive in 4th place, so limiting the damage. Randoletto was able to overcome Villarreal, who had a couple of problems here and there, and he has to be content with 6th place. But what a way to start the race. This three-way fight, as you can see the damage on Kim's car, this three-way fight for 2nd, 3rd and 4th was absolutely amazing. I'm really sad that Kim had that error in turn 1 and 2, because that could have ended basically at the start finish line with a 3-wide finish. But Reed, fantastic stuff, and honestly that's a great way to kickstart our race day here on AMX.
Absolutely. Your final positions on your screen. Race results for today's trip out onto the Sonoma Raceway. Corentin Guinez will take first place with that 888 car. And of course, the number 1 in number 2, Josh Berwin, overtaking Kyle Gaspar for that 2nd place. 3rd does go to Gaspar. Yongchan Kim, our newcomer. A solid performance in 4th. Rondoletto and Villarreal to round out the standings. So beautiful race for today. Absolutely delivered on my expectations. Really exciting to see that happen there, and that is going to do it. Really excited to be able to be here with you, Marco, and hope you'll stick around, just like I hope our viewers will stick around as we take a little bit of a break before highlighting the BMW M Hybrid V8s out on the Nurburgring Grand Prix. So some absolutely spectacular tracks today, and we'll just be keeping it going after a 30-minute break. And of course, if you would like to join us here on AMX, please take the opportunity to head on over to amx.com or visit us on any of our social media to find out more information about these races. You too can sign up and get your iRacing fix as you get out here onto our fabulous racetracks and join us for any one of our over 90 races. I guess exactly 90 races, slightly less now. We've got a lot more coming up after the break, so don't go anywhere. We'll see you back here in about 30 minutes for even more of AMX Season 2.
Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know.
Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. I care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. I care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes.
Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes.
And welcome back, everybody, to AMX Season 2. I'm Reed, once again joined by Marco, and it's time for our second and final race of the day. But we kind of saved the best for last in a lot of ways. We have some incredibly fast cars, BMW M Hybrid V8s, heading out onto the Nurburgring Grand Prix. It's going to be a great car, great track, and of course, a great... so many ways I could describe Marco, but words fail me. A great combination joining me. Marco, what do you think about our cars and tracks and everything coming up?
Well, you see the Nurburgring GP racetrack is completely surrounded by BMW advertisements all around it, so I don't think we have a better car and track combination, especially on the start-finish line. And even though, of course, this track is one of the distinctive features, is a Mercedes grandstand at the braking area of turn 1. So we'll see that prominently featuring during the broadcast. And you can see the quick facts about our race today. We'll of course get into more detail very soon. It's a fantastic setting for a race, and you can see of course the various tiers of racing that go through all the 90 races season of AMX. Free tier, tier 1, and of course tier 2. More or less, of course, the same race distance, but of course different entry fees, and of course different prize pool per race. And you can see the schedule, of course, on your screen right now. Final race of the day, then we'll move on the weekend for more action. And the point structure, as per usual, of course, tonight I should say, being in pay tier 1, 25, 20, 15, 10 and 8 for the top 5. Fastest lap is 10 points, of course. Every point equals $1, and participation is 1 point. You need to do 80% of the winner's time to bring home the point for participation. And that was the structure, of course. And here we go with the racetrack. The Nordschleife was the original racetrack. It was too long, too dangerous, very difficult for safety, and so it was restructured in the 80s to the modern Grand Prix layout we have today. Got updated in the early noughties, but it hasn't changed much since. And as I was saying, as we see some beautiful scenes from above, the BMW Hybrid V8, one of the newest cars in iRacing. It is the contender in the LMDH specification for BMW, this new prototype rule set that, together with the LMH that's been created for the WEC, will compete head-to-head both in the IMSA Championship in North America and the WEC worldwide. So these cars can race both at the 24 hours of Le Mans and the 24 hours at Daytona. The difference is that these cars here, the LMDH cars, are much less expensive to build. Basically, they are LMP2 chassis, one of the 4 approved manufacturers. This one is at Dallara. Get picked by the brand, in this case BMW. They can modify the outside of the car, the aero, in a few bits, and of course they can put a costume engine inside. Whilst the LMP2 cars have, of course, Gibson V8 engine in all the 4 approved chassis makers. On top of that, in the hypercar class, the LMH, the Le Mans specific cars can have total freedom of hybrid system. These LMDH cars, the Porsche, for example, the soon-to-come Lamborghini, the Cadillac, of course, plenty of others, they will have a unique hybrid system provided by Bosch, which also I think prominently features around the racetrack as a sponsor. And this is like the, in my opinion, the better idea of the two, because it provides a cost certain entry for everybody that wants to participate. So I'm quite surprised that some manufacturers are going the other way with the Toyota and Ferrari. Peugeot are building a LMH prototype. So that's many manufacturers are coming and are already in this with this format of racing, with this format of LMDH cars, and more will be coming soon. We know that in iRacing we'll get the Cadillac and the Porsche soon-ish. For now we only have the BMW, but what a fantastic race car, Reed, and it's quite unique, striking design, because they try to keep the we saw earlier the BMW front end look, but putting it on a prototype. It's quite a striking race car.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, my favorite aspect of this race car is not only does it represent a return to the top flight of sports prototype racing since they did the V12 LMRs in the 90s, right? They're coming back. BMW now bringing us the V8s out here, and I really love to see this pinnacle of racing. I say as we take some very rough turns with Caio Gaspar, whose middle name I just now learned is Vinicius. So that's one of the coolest names I've heard. So kind of a pity to see it stuck there in the middle. But obviously Caio Gaspar, one of our absolute top flight of drivers in AMX Season 2. So always a pleasure to get a chance to watch this guy take some of the fastest cars in racing around such an iconic track.
Yes, sir. We are looking now at Victor Miranda. So this car, you can see iRacing provides a default livery, which is the official livery of the BMW Works team. Hopefully drivers will be, we already saw 2 out of 2 cars we've looked have the default livery, so hopefully the drivers will be more creative. We see Gael Valero, who skipped the previous race in Sonoma, but is now back for Apex Racing team. Gaston Coulavi also, he was actually on our YouTube channel a few minutes ago, posting his thoughts on the Sonoma race. Now he jumped into the seat for this race here at the Nurburgring. So it's going to be quite exciting to have both of these drivers back. Diego Villarreal, of course, and Corentin Guinez. How can you not have them on the racetrack? We have just a few minutes left in the practice system. So I talked about hybrid. Let's go very quickly, as VRL has a bit of an issue here. Let's go very quickly on what this hybrid system entails. It's as I was saying, a spec system for all the LMDH cars that will have to use this, of course. I think Ford also is coming very soon, I think, in this class. In real life, I don't know about iRacing. So this hybrid system is not as complicated as the ones we had with the LMP1 cars, like amazing cars, the Audi and the Porsche here on iRacing, but incredibly complicated to use. You have to basically remember to boost manually at set points of the racetrack, and you have to boost a certain percentage, so you were having one eye on the display, one eye on the track. No, this hybrid system has basically 4 modes, which is harvest. They have the where they harvest, of course. They have the balanced, attack, and qualify. So the drivers will basically switch. They can't use the qualify mode in race, believe it or not. So they just have to set the hybrid system mode they want, and the car will do everything in itself. Of course, with the harvest, you will focus on harvesting energy. With the normal, the car will basically boost whenever it feels it's needed, and when you go on attack is maybe when you want to use a little bit extra power, when you maybe want to do an overtake, but it's not a push to pass button. The car still is in control of how much it boosts and when. Of course, the boost much more useful when you come out of the corners. Put down the power down better and faster, and this is what makes the difference between these cars and the LMP2 cars, because the base is the same. The LMP2 cars, of course, are not that much slower than these LMDH cars, but the difference is mainly how much power they can put down coming out of the corners, and of course the maybe a bit more bespoke aerodynamic design of the more. So it's going to be interesting tonight. It's it's a difficult car. I've heard going around talking to the drivers, a difficult car. It's not as fast as it seems, or better, not as easy as it seems. It's very fast. Don't get me wrong, but it's easy to drive, but hard to master, if that makes sense. So you really need to be on point because it has a very small operating window where you can really nail everything and be as fast as you can.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. The idea is that if you want to take this car out for a spin, probably it's going to let you do everything you want to do. But at the highest level, you're going to be racing what you feel like is your best, and you're going to get owned every time. And you're like, why? Aren't I doing a good job? And the answer is yes, but if you are one of the elite drivers, you are able to squeeze a lot more performance out of this the more talented you become at specifically piloting these BMW M Hybrid V8s. And that is going to do it for qualifiers, right? Or is this practice results? There we go. Sorry. Getting a little bit ahead of myself. Victor Miranda in top spot. Less than a second behind is Corentin Guinness, Gael Valero, Caio Gaspar, Gaston Clavey, and Diego Villarreal. A little bit sad to not see Josh Perwin join us. We got a chance to see him in our first race of the day, but not joining us to continue what is honestly been some dominant racing by him. But just to talk about the racers, we do have basically a who's who of South American racing prowess, and of course the winner of our last race joining us also again here for a very, very different racing experience. So we're going to have to illustrate a lot of versatile challenge, versatile skill set as we kind of change things up for cars and tracks out on the Nurburgring.
And to finish my point from earlier, the LMP2 car we have in iRacing is the Dallara LMP2, the P217, which is the car that has been used as a base for this one. So you can really jump between the two cars, Reed, and notice the differences in how they behave in the engine, the power output, the hybrid versus non-hybrid component. So quite interesting that we have, basically the base car and the evolution car on the racing service, and it's quite an interesting thing to try for yourself. See Culavi having a little bit of an issue there coming out of the final corner and into the front stretch, and as you can see they are getting towards the aforementioned Mercedes-Benz grandstand into this area of the track that of course it's called the Mercedes Arena, believe it or not, as they go through this extension. Was built in 2002 if I'm not mistaken. They had just a quick S in the past, and now it goes through all this serpentine section, quite challenging, and then we rejoin the old racetrack after this double left-hander and a right-hander.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of branded corners here. We're coming up, of course, after the finish line. You're going to see our cars go through the Coca-Cola curve, right before the finish line, you see that, leading up into the Mercedes arena. So my thought is that if you have a car named Mercedes-Benz, Daimler-Benz, whatever, the Benz part, right? And you have a lot of iconic names of curves, like Ford curve, Michael Schumacher's S, right? Why is there not a Mercedes-Benz? Is that not something we can do? I get that the word for curve is curve in German, but I'm just saying, the opportunity for branding is there. We've got the Advanbogen a little bit later on, NGK, Chicane, so there's potential out there. But of course, the Mercedes Arena, the newest addition to the track that does add a little bit more challenge on the inside. Although I got to say, by far, the hairpin, the Dunlop hairpin down there at the end is always extremely challenging and really separates a lot of our drivers from each other. And honestly, I'm interested to see what exactly is the separation from each other, because coming through practice, you had the usual suspects, Victor Miranda, Diego Vieira, Caio Gaspar up to the top. Now Gaston Calavi, seemingly the only racer going for a qualifier so far.
Yeah, 46.6, that's the provisional poll. Let's see if other drivers have something to say about that. We see the cameras on Culavi himself. By the way, the different in layout here in this racetrack, especially compared to when we do the normal GP track. It's called, like this because there is also a full track called the WEC variant, the sports car variant, which we are not using, where they come to the final chicane, the NGK chicane, and instead of doing the chicane we are doing today, they do like a fast chicane. I prefer this version of the track because with that faster chicane, you basically lose a passing opportunity. Now, granted, these cars are quite big, so you need to really be very close to make the overtake. We can see if we follow Gaston Culavi, he's coming to that corner I was talking about just a few seconds ago. So you will see he takes this tighter chicane, and on the right side you can see the exit of the faster chicane there, where the cones are. Much better this version here for your overall raceability of the racetrack. And Gaston is the only one that's setting a valid lap time so far. Once again, start-finish line, and will he improve? I don't think he will. By the way, one thing these drivers will have to manage, read, is of course the hybrid system. During qualifying, usually as Miranda goes fastest, you want to go fast lap, slow lap, fast lap, slow lap, because you will need to give your hybrid system 1 lap of time to recharge. So you cannot do like 2 laps back to back. The second lap has to be slower.
Right, that's something you have to sort of time. Going through the race, you have to understand, okay, well, am I going to be able to set my fastest time on which lap am I going to be able to do it? When is the opportunity to overtake? What is the best time to do that? So a little bit of an interesting sort of switch up the hybrid system as opposed to a more normal traditional race where disaster can strike at any time. You're always going to have to watch out for that. Now, I mean, it is the same for all of our cars here, so that does equalize the situation, but you have to keep track of each lap to say, okay, well, when is that hybrid system going to kick in and give our drivers the extra boost?
Yeah, see, of course, what I'm always saying when I commentate on races that are basically all... This car... for example, I have the pleasure of doing the Italian Esports official prototype championship this season commentary, and they use this car, no? And it's like a field of 40 of these cars. But these cars are not made to race on their own, like they are fun to race on their own, no? But they are made with multi-class racing in mind. And so when you come up on, especially when you have to lap an opponent, you're usually lapping a GT3 car or an LMP2 car, which are a bit slower. So that's when the hybrid system really kicks in, no? Here, of course, and that's where it really makes a difference in traffic. So when you're racing against all of the same, in this case, as you can see, the strength of field must be through the roof. Look at those high ratings there. Gael Valero 9.3, Corentin Guinez 8.7. I mean, numbers that, looking at them, honestly, they... See, Guinez is going super slow in his outlap. The hard braking recharges the hybrid system, and then he will go like full power for, there's a couple of minutes left, so this is going to be his final attempt to set the pole position time if possible. So they go super slow, they recharge the hybrid system for 1 lap, and then they go full power once again. And this, of course, as you were saying, quite intelligently, is going to mean that they have to time it right, and they have a lot of pressure on themselves, because they have, as a matter of fact, way fewer chances than they would have in a qualifying session with a normal non-hybrid race car.
And we are almost done with our qualifying session here, Marco. 8 and 50 done so far. So probably just one more lap to change things up. Victor Miranda did finally overtake that first place pole position as he leads the pack for now.
Oh no!
Okay, that's not what you want to see. Interesting damage modeling there as we hopefully can get him teleported on out. That's going to do it for his lap as Guinness forced to pit on out of there. Miranda's still way up at the top, so some absolutely incredible times being set by him on the Nurburgring. So probably looking at a pole position there, unless, as like Gael Valero, say that I promise, rejoin the top of the pack. And man, that was actually I'm not. Every time I see one of those, I want to see exactly what happens in real life, right? Does the toddler spill their sippy cup all over your rig, and that sends you into the wall? And I guess we're going to get a chance to find out as we look at this replay. Just takes the curve a little bit wide and can't recorrect.
Yeah, it's almost usually when you get on Corentin Guinness is in our YouTube chat, by the way, asking for medical help for the crash. Man, that would have been awful if it was in real life. There's Gael Valero, by the way, sporting the Apex Racing Academy livery for this BMW car. It's green instead of blue compared to the Apex Racing team. But I think Gael has been recently promoted to the main Apex Racing team stable, if I'm not mistaken. But still sporting the Academy livery on this car. So yeah, that was bad. That is one of those moments where I'm saying, thankfully this is just sim racing, so unless you have like one of those very costly direct drive wheels, they have a lot of power in their force feedback. So when you are about to crash, drivers basically have to remove their hands from the wheel in order to avoid potential injuries that are not unheard of. The force on those wheels that when you have an impact is quite big, so you need to be, I'm not joking, very, very careful.
Yeah, definitely got to keep your thumbs on the outside, if you know what I mean, if you want to keep them attached. But hopefully we can keep our thumbs and cars intact as we head to through the end of qualifiers. Victor Miranda up top, Corentin Guinness just underneath, and Gael Valero looking to set his time. We'll see if he makes a little bit of a leap up the standings. Looks like the answer is no, and he will finish in third if those standings are correct. Warming up the tires for pitting before the end of qualifiers, and not sure where we're going to right now. It should just reset. There it is. Okay, Gael Valero in third, Kyle Gaspar, Gaston Cleary, and Diego Villarreal.
Another beautiful bird's eye view. You can see the cut there after the first corner that they use in the 24-hour race layout, because the Mercedes Arena is used as an extended paddock, of course, because they have like more than 100 entries for the 24-hour race proper, plus a ton of support series. And of course, for the 24-hour race, they use bits of the GP track and the full Nordschleife track that is somewhere there in the distance. We are keeping it simple today and racing on the GP layout. And here come the qualifying results. As Reed was saying rightfully a few seconds ago, it's Victor Miranda snatching pole, 0.4 of a second over Corentin Guinness. Gael Valero is just a few thousandths of a second behind Caio Gaspar, then Gaston Culavi, and finally it's Diego Villarreal closing the ranks in P6. So I think, yes, we'll have the short pace lap. These drivers basically will have a couple of corners to warm up their tires, and then it's off to the races, Reed. It's going to be high-octane action immediately. And that first corner, of course, breaking down the hill with a lot of space. It's very enticing for the drivers to launch themselves on the inside in turn one. but it's very, very easy to make a mistake there, especially because the track is very steeply pointing downwards, so the car is incredibly unbalanced when you go on the brakes there. Need to be careful. Of course, no ABS on this car, so only traction control, so you need to do all your braking with your feet. No helps with the electronics.
Yeah, absolutely. So going around the ring, you do not want to slam on those brakes unless you absolutely need to stop all forward momentum. Like you said earlier, a slow pace lap here. A little bit of a shorter one, not going to travel the full track. That means we should be out and ready to go momentarily. Our driver's about to hit the finish line, the starting line. And here we go. Drivers off to the races, coming through the starting line. We'll see how things shape up as we get a start to our 12-lap race onto the green hell.
Oh.
Jackie Stewart responded, that is not the way you want to start the race. Corentin Guinez already a couple seconds back of the pack.
Corentin locked this, they went deep on the inside of turn 1, where the track is the most steeply pointing downwards, locked his front right and spun. I think maybe he got a little help from someone, but he was completely out of shape getting into turn 1, and now he'll have to do a big comeback. If his car is okay, this could be something that could really make this race even more exciting, because one of the faster drivers on the track has to make a big comeback.
Yeah, absolutely. That is not the place he wants to be. But as a driver who is used to sitting up in the top 2 spots for most of his times out here in AMX Season 2, he is absolutely fierce and capable of making that kind of a comeback happen. Diego Villarreal, he has not had the times he's been looking for this season, and so we're really looking to see him start to climb up a little bit also. There is action in the middle of the pack as well, as Gaspar contests Calavi and Valero trying to steal that spot from Miranda. So absolutely action-packed across the board here, as it looks like we're going to take a quick replay of that brief spin out, getting blocked on the inside.
You can see that he was locking the front right. You can see how much the track dips there. It's incredibly difficult, and once you lose the car there in the braking, it's gone. Like, and he almost collected Victor Miranda there, so it was a lucky escape for everybody. So Guinez has gone past Villarreal, and is up to P5. So Miranda, Valero, Culavi, Gaspar, Guinez, Villarreal, your running order, lap 2 out of 12. Miranda is enjoying himself there in the lead, and Gal Valero trying to close, and we have the 2 factory liveries of Culavi and Gaspar. Corentin Guinez in his yellow car, and then Diego Villarreal there in 6th. They are very tightly bunched. Let's see if Valero has something in store for Miranda, but Miranda looked incredibly rapid straight from the quali session.
Yeah, by far the best spot to be is Victor Miranda, way up in front, and beyond that, not having to worry about getting tied up in the mess that was that starting first curve. Anytime things get really close at the beginning of a race, you always have to watch out. So many races end for so many racers because of that congestion, getting blocked early on or getting taken out, caught up by another racer's accident. But things pretty much spread out, about a second separating our racers from each other. Middle of the pack with that Caio Gaspar climbing on up already out of that last place spot. Of course, Corentin Guinez not content to be towards the back of the pack. He is looking for an overtake here as soon as he can catch up to Caio Gaspar. But this is a little bit of a spread here, but we're only our first quarter through the 12 laps or time spent out onto the Nurburgring. So very, very memorable, and by far the most enjoyable part about this is not only watching our racers and seeing what they can bring out of this track, but watching the track itself, as you said earlier, Marco, with some absolute fabulous dips, iconic curves, all with their own names and stories, and really just a beautiful, beautiful new addition. Glad to see it kind of coming back into its own.
Yes, and there are rumors that they are trying to get back onto the F1 calendar. Of course, the Grand Prix has been missing since 2020, and even then, it was an emergency replacement during that very troublesome season in every sport, of course. So Kulavi there being put under pressure by Gaspar. They are only... Oh, by mistake there from Gaspar. He goes really wide, getting into the Schumacher S here, and so he lost not much. He lost like about 1/10 of a second. So I thought the loss of time was going to be bigger, but of course now they both, Lavi and Gaspar, I have to look behind them because Corentin Guinness, after dispatching Diego Villarreal, is now rapidly closing in on the pair of them. So keep an eye out on Guinness, as in the front. 1.5 between Miranda and Valero after 3 laps, the beginning of lap 4, starting right now.
Yeah, every 10th of a second is absolutely going to matter, Marco, as you said, and you can just see it right there in the tower. The time's coming down to 0.3 of a second for Caio Gaspar as Corentin Guinness, the driver we're on board with, is looking for an opportunity to overtake around the turn, and they catch back up. Just 0.3 of a second separating them. Corentin Guinness is absolutely out for blood here, looking for the overtake around the outside, can't get it, as he is blocked in front by Gaspar. An absolutely mental 3-driver battle for that fourth place spot.
And we should see how patient Guinness will be. He knows that time is of the essence, and so he will, I think, go for the move. At least here is very, very close to Gaspar, as fast as he can. Of course, he needs to remember that, and I'm sure he's thinking about it, that you know, a mistake, another mistake is going to be probably spell the end of his race. So he needs to be cautiously aggressive. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but I'm sure he will try to make the pass as fast as he can, but as safe as he can, because you know, these cars are also quite a bit sensitive to damage, especially on the floor and on those small aero appendages that are at the front, in the front bit of the car. So you really want to avoid contact as much as possible. But Gaspar defending well in this final portion of lap number 4. So I think that the French driver is setting up for a move, maybe in turn 1. But of course, Gaspar is also looking at Gaston Kulavi, the Argentinian driver, right in front of him. So maybe we'll see some, you know, double overtake action, as Victor Miranda 43.6. That's the fastest lap of the race, and we know there is some extra points, aka also dollars, available for these drivers for the fastest lap of the race. So always nice to have it.
Yeah, absolutely. Fastest driver in the front, setting the fastest time. Shocker, right? 1:43. That interval for Victor Miranda. But absolutely, the action is here in 3rd, 4th, and 5th. That battle for 3rd place intense, as we get a road's eye view of exactly what it looks like to have a Caio Gaspar, and of course, Corentin Guinness behind him, right on the tail. Under a half-second back, and absolutely contesting pressure on as we head through the halfway mark, closing into that 6 out of 12, and the action could not be any hotter here, as we keep things very, very, very close. And that's going to keep the pressure on, right? And that means that as you try to do your best, fighting the car, fighting the track, you also have the added pressure of having to do that so well that you prevent the guy behind you from getting that overtake in and dropping your spot off the podium. So even though Kalevi is pretty solidly in that lead, he is absolutely unable to be complacent at this point, especially because there are so many challenging turns to navigate, like that Mercedes arena.
Oh, here comes Corentin Guinness. He's now having a fantastic run coming out of the final corner. He will go on attack mode, I'm sure, but also on attack mode, probably also Gaspar trying to defend. Let's see if Guinness will be brave down the inside of turn 1. Sorry, I think he won't. And I have to say, this is some excellent composed defending by Gaspar. He's doing his own lines, he's not moving, he's not reacting too much to what's happening in his mirrors, and Guinness has not found, and this is, as I was saying earlier, these are big race cars, so you need to be exceptionally sure of what you're doing when you attempt an overtake.
And of course, one failed overtake can get you blocked and drop you back even further. Any mistake is not only going to stop your ability to climb up in the standings, but also could potentially even drop you back even further. Now, seeing Guinness behind Gaspar coming up very close, looking for any opportunity. But his quick slip there, shake of the wheel, drops him a little bit further out of contention. The top speeds we are reaching here, absolutely incredible. As we watch the pack, the middle of the pack heat up even more. Absolutely where the action is right now, like that, halfway through our time out on the Nurburgring. And it's just such a pleasure to watch these hybrid be. Really different style. You can see braking, going through these turns, a lot of skill, and absolutely no room for error, as we see Gaspar now heating up on Kalevi's heels.
Yeah, that's a poor exit in the final chicane by Kulavi, and he's opening the door to Gaspar. That's also having to look behind him from Guinness. This is a fantastic scrap for third place. 3 wide into turn 1. Oh, that was almost sketchy. And they keep their positions, but for how long, I wonder, Reed, because both of these guys are under immense pressure. Here we go! On the inside goes Gaspar. Makes contact with Kulavi. Now around the outside. They need to be very careful. They push him wide. Oh, this is amazing. Kulavi keeps the position, but here comes Guinness on the outside for a double overtake. Very daring. And it ends in disaster.
God! Such an incredible action. The sole survivor, Caio, Gaspar, Guinness, and Kalevi spinning out after the most devastating turn we have seen yet in Season 2.
Man, that was a fantastic battle, but, you know, I think Corentin was a little bit too optimistic going 3 wide in there. You can go 3 wide there if you're driving, I think, a Formula Ford, a Skip Barber, a Formula V, and even then you need to be careful. With these huge race cars, that was a bit too much, and it all took, you know, because 3 wide there, so little space. We'll see, thank you for our production team for the replay. It only takes the smallest amount of contact from one of the 3 cars, and you get like this accordion effect. Everybody gets pushed wide, as you know, like in a wave, and unfortunately that is what happened. And you know, Gaspar survived, Kulavi and Guinness didn't. They're back on track, and as a matter of fact, I think we're going to have round 2 between Kulavi and Guinness, because Guinness is now only half a second back from the Argentinian. Wow!
And actually, that's going to keep the action alive, but not just for the placements on the podium, but more for maybe a little bit of revenge. Anytime drivers knock each other out, you know they're coming back for blood. And this is exactly what we're going to see right now as we follow Guinness and Kalevi, previously fighting for third, now that coveted 4th spot after they both spin out. And one more of those accidents, and even Diego Villarreal back there 12 seconds back. The pack has a chance to speed right on through. So absolutely anything can happen as we close in on the final quarter, our time here on the Nurburgring.
Looking backwards from Kulevi's car to Corentin Guinness' car, now 4/10 of a second. Man, this has been a disaster of a race for Corentin Guinness, spinning in turn 1 at the race start. Luckily, nobody hit him. He had to basically restart all the way from last place. Now a comeback. He was fighting for 3rd place. Another spin when he forced the 3 wide in getting into 4th curve, and now he needs to at least try to get past Kulavi if he wants to salvage a 4th place finish from what could have been an even better finishing position. But, if he got it in turn 1, it would have been an even worse finishing position. So, you need to look at the glass half empty or half full, depending on your level of optimism in life. Oh, here we go on the inside in the final corner. That was super close.
Kalevi had to just squeeze every ounce of speed to maintain his position there. Almost getting overtaken on the inside. Almost a bump, but going for it again on the inside. Corentin Guinness with the overtake, pushing Kalevi back to 5th.
That was a very good pass from Guinness. He didn't get distracted by the fact that Kulevi threw a very good and hard block in the final corner, stopping him from completing the pass. Truth be told, that's not really a passing spot, the final corner, because there is not a big braking area there, but Guinness used it as a setup, basically. He forced Kulevi to block him, defender, have a worse exit, a poorer exit coming out of the final corner for the Argentinian driver. Guinness was able to set up his line, push hard, probably go into attack mode on the hybrid system and complete the pass safely this time into turn 1. So this will be, I think, it for Corentin Guinness. I don't think he's going to be able to catch up to Gaspar. It's 6.5 seconds. We are in lap 9 of 12, actually almost at the end of lap 9. So basically we have 3.5 laps left. So Corentin Guinness needs to, be happy with what he has right now, this 4th place. Again, could have been better, could have been much worse. But let me tell you, Victor Miranda there at the front. He's having, I think, his best race of the season.
It's hard to say that because we say that every single time we see him race. Absolutely one of the GOATs of AMX Season 2. I can't say enough for the respect he deserves for being this consistently at front of every single race. Also, I want to give a big shout out to Guinness, who has had not one but 2 heartbreaking spinouts and still has managed to climb back out of that last place all the way up into 4th and narrowly missed out on a podium finish after having a heartbreaking spinout on lap 1. He finds himself 5 seconds back, so probably not a podium finish, but still an impressive Herculean effort to drag himself kicking and screaming out of that last place after so much adversity this race. He sits in 4th, but absolutely could be in contention for 1st had it not been for those few little dust-ups.
And you make a very good point with Guinness, Reed, because now that the dust has settled, I think that, Miranda has been the class of the field today in this race, but we know how fast Guinness is. I wouldn't be shocked if Guinness now with free track in front and free track behind, and if his car is okay, he might have a go at the fastest lap of the race. He won't have many chances because the lap times, the time left is getting shorter and shorter. And again, even in race, you cannot go full pelt with the hybrid system for the whole 12 laps. You need to balance and harvest and manage it. So maybe Guinness is saving his hybrid system for a last lap attempt at making snatching the fast lap away from Miranda. We'll see, because of course I think his car has got a bit of damage, especially from the second contact, and all in all, practice, qualifying and the race, I think overall Miranda has been the faster driver today.
Yep, it says it right there on your screen, right? First place is first, no matter if you're the fastest or slowest or whatever. If you're in the first place spot, however you get there, aside from picking up your car and moving it to the other side, there's no Mario Kart physics here. You got to get there by being fastest, and that's exactly what we're seeing from Miranda. So consistent every single race, and we are nearing the white flag as he speeds around the track in style. Now on board Corentin Guinness, one of the fastest drivers here, and now after that little dust up we saw earlier, he now has a 5-second lead on Kulevi, who was neck and neck for so long, and really start to see how dominant he is. Really would have loved to see a replay if they started this over and ran the same race 5 times. gotta know that Ginez, Gaspar, they would both be absolutely up there towards the top. Kalevi also having an incredible race up until that dust up, and unfortunately he did get taken out there, now relegated back to 5th. And the white flag does come out as Miranda, now Valero, crossing through the finish line for the last time, heading out onto our final lap, our time here on the Nurburgring.
Yeah, I was expecting a bit more from Valero in this race. I mean, second place is nothing bad. Maybe this speaks volumes about how fast Miranda has been, because he's been able to pull an 8-second gap basically in just 12 laps. That's a quite impressive feat. So, final lap of the race, and now if you want to do the fastest lap, you do it now. You save everything for a couple of laps, and then you go. You give everything right now, hybrid system on attack, and hope for the best. So Miranda 46.6, I think that's the time to beat, and we'll see if any of these drivers. You see Ginez 45.0 is the best, so he has been, I think he's been nursing some damage. Victor Miranda, on the other end, perfect race. He started well, went by turn 1 in first place, and then said goodbye to everybody and drove off into the sunset.
Yep, the sunset currently located around about the finish line, as Victor Miranda will take the checkered flag unless 7 seconds of teleportation be stored up in that reserve for Valero. We are going to see him take that momentarily coming through the finish after our final curve of the race. And there he goes, coming through the final chicane Coca-Cola curve into the checkered flag. Victor Miranda will take it in first place. A little bit of a celebration goes awry there at the end. Just gonna litter up the rest of the track, smoking it up, making Gael Valero take that second place right behind him.
Here comes Caio Gaspar. He will finish in an excellent third. And here comes Corentin Ginez. Very, very up and down race for him on the start-finish line. He does not improve 48.3, so nobody can take the fast lap away from Miranda. Not even Kulavi finishes in 5th. And I think Villarreal called it a day on the last lap. He retired somewhere along the racetrack. And so that was your second race of the day. Beautiful, exciting stuff all day long here on AMX. The GT3s at Sonoma were great, and same was for these LMDH BMW cars at the Nurburgring. Miranda from Galero and Gaspar, your podium. Then we have Corentin Ginez, Gaston Kulavi, and as you can see, 1 lap down, retired, unfortunately, Diego Villarreal. What an exciting day of racing, Grid. That was incredibly enjoyable.
Yeah, Nurburgring always delivering. One of my first times seeing the track in action in its full glory, and just really brought all of the action. That middle of the pack, the early spin outs, the domination we saw from Victor Miranda to take that win. I just really had it all. And even if you rewind things back to our time on the Sonoma Raceway earlier, still an incredible raceway, an incredible day of games, and of course an incredible time spent here with you, Marco. So thanks for helping me break everything down and adding a healthy dose of nostalgia sprinkled on top to really add the cherry on top, if I can mix my flavor metaphors to today's broadcast. Any final thoughts before we head out of here?
I mean, we've seen today that, as I was saying many times over, you can see these drivers tackle different cars, different tracks, jumping from GT3s, LMDHs. That's what really makes it this interesting. And you too can try if you go on our website, and you can sign up at amxrace.com, of course, because we have races upcoming in the next few days, basically, for the next 2 months still. So sign up, join us, and go to these links below to follow AMX everywhere you want.
That's right. Hit us up on social media, guys. I'm out there, and I promise to follow you back. So let me know any thoughts, comments, concerns you have, and most importantly, come back next week where we will have 8 electrifying races on our 4 race days for the final 4 race days of this month. But of course, we have 90 races this season, so there's still plenty of time for you two to head on over to amxrace.com, sign up, and get your chunk of our over $16,000 prize pool. So don't forget to head on over there, check it out, and we will see you back here again in a couple days for our next week of AMX Racing Season 2. See you then.